Are you ready to lead with impact? Well, friend, you're in the right place. Today, you can join Carol Fairman and Dr. Guy Henry as they begin exploring what it means to lead with impact. So, pull up a chair, grab your coffee, a pen and paper, and get ready to have some deep conversations with Carol and Guy as they walk you through what it means to lead with impact.
Welcome back to Lead with Impact. I'm Dr. Guy Henry, and I'm thrilled to have you with us today. First of all, of course, as we continue discussing setting goals, really, it's one of the most probably critical and transformative topics for leaders, teams, anything that you're organizing for your life. And of course, my co host, Carol Fairman, is joining with us. And this is someone who knows a lot about helping people set and achieve their goals. She's a seasoned expert in empowering individuals and teams to be able to create meaningful but yet actionable goals that lead to results. Carol, you worked a lot of people in this area. I know different organizations, teams, leaders. Tell us a little bit about those SMART goals.
I love this topic so much. It's just so important that we really sit down and analyze where we've been, where we're going, and really map it out. We've talked about goal setting and some of those things in our last session, but what we really want to do today is help you unpack it. And so I just want to go through the SMART goal methodology. I like a smarter goal because it's important to come back and evaluate and then readjust and move forward. But really, if we're not taking the time to set a plan, like we talked about, and have a direction, we're going to end up nowhere and we're going to get nothing done. And just for the audience's sake, Guy, do you set goals for yourself? And do you have a very specific system? Or how do you choose to approach the goal setting? Because I know you set them, but what does that look
Uh,
like for you a little bit?
I'm always a little bit of a bull in a china shop, do things my way kind of a thing. But certainly, as I know we're going to talk about the SMART, the specific and
Mhm.
measurable, et cetera, because we have to know success is not just because of talent or luck. We have to show up, we have to do the work, we have to stay the course. And sometimes, before I answer that question completely, is that we look at a goal and we think it's so big. We have to break it up into pieces, and that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today, and then staying the course. I think a mistake too many people make is they try to set too many goals at one time,
Gosh, yes.
and it gets so discouraging. We think, oh, just that's all I'm going to be able to achieve in 1 year. Let's think back how fast a year can go,
That's
and
right.
we don't achieve it. So let's set that goal. Let's be smart about it. Let's measure those processes and know what we're doing, and then make those things achievable. And I know you
Exactly.
want to talk about that a little bit.
I do.
I
I'm
do.
really excited.
I've got my I live by my calendar. That's where my goals are. And with my task and my goals, I have my goal. Here is my plan, and here is my task.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm very calendar driven too. And so I do want to layer in some of the calendar talk into this process as well. Good news for you tuning in today. There's going to be some downloads available to you so you can pause this recording and actually do some work along with us. And so grab a sheet of paper and or grab the link below that will be in that podcast available for you where you can print this smart goals sheet. It's a smart start to 2025 is what I like to call it. And the first thing that we'll ask you to do, and like I said, if you're tuning in, just pause this and then turn us back on when you're ready to move to the next thing. But the most important thing I want you to do is set a 2-minute timer and just reflect on and write down 2 or 3 things that you accomplished last year and what do you hope to accomplish this year. And I don't mean long drawn out thinking, just what do you want to do? And let's write it down pause this recording, get that pen and paper going, and just brain dump everything that you're feeling and thinking and hoping to accomplish. Did you start something you didn't finish last year and you know that this is the year? What are those things? And then for me, I'm celebrating. I completed my bachelor's of business and ministry last year, and this year I'm plugging on for the master's degree. I'm launching a new component to my coaching that I'm doing, and I have some really solid goals for my ministry as well. And so those are the things that I'm jotting down. So, Guy, what would you be jotting down in these 2 minutes?
You caught me off guard.
I did. I'm sorry.
Yeah. What I'd like to add is as you're doing this, though, just maybe don't overthink it. Just
Yes.
start writing. What are some things you've accomplished? Oftentimes we do accomplish things. Maybe you have to go back over your calendar and look at some of that stuff and see, because it encourages us when we look to see, yes, I did accomplish this. Likewise, I also completed a degree this past year and was able to advance my coaching business as well as within our ministry. As we've had some challenges we were faced with in Honduras, and we achieved those goals. It was like right at the end of the year, but we did achieve those goals. But what I'm in the middle of doing right now actually is how those accomplishments can set me up for the goal setting for 2025. Taking advantage of a little bit of that inertia, that momentum, and how can we take that a little bit further? When I set new goals, I don't want to necessarily just jump over here and start setting goals. I like to, how can I lean in to what we've been doing and begin to make that further? Because we have different areas of our life. We have our personal, our financial, our businesses, our ministries, whatever that may be. And maybe there's setting a goal for each of those. Take this time and jot down just whatever comes to your mind so that you can go back over it. Yes, this is what I really want to focus on.
I love it. And again, that's why I asked you, let's take a few things. What are some of those things that you either left undone or really completed? And again, we're layering in, we're building on those things, and it really springboards us into the new year and helps us refine those goals, defining those goals as we move forward. So I'm hoping that you've taken the time to just, like Guy said, let's not overthink it. Just write it. Let it flow out of you, just all the things. And don't be afraid to dream big here, right? Just dream big because then we're going to take these down into sessions, little sections. We're going to be specific. We're going to ask the how, the who, the what, the where, the why of the vision. Because you're going to go back and let's say, okay, what are one or two things that I can focus on for the year? And like you added, you want a personal goal. You want maybe a spiritual goal, want a goal for the
Mhm.
family, a goal for your marriage, relationships, a business goal, personal growth, health, wellness, whatever those
Yeah.
areas are for you. Of course, we don't want to be burdened down with them, but pick one or two things that you could really build a smart goal around. And then you're going to assign it. Who's going to help you get this? What exactly is it? And how does it tie into the vision? And start narrowing it down because we need to be specific. Because if we're not specific, and I don't mean because how many of us by the end of December are like, oh, I've got to lose weight. That's always the easy one to pick on. I need to lose weight. We probably all can do that, but let's get specific about it. What about the weight loss process? Is it you need to
Mhm.
cut out sugar? Is it you just need to get rid of the soda and drink water? Whatever it is, but how do we bring it down into a bite-sized chunk? And we spent a lot of time talking about that. Let's bring it down and figure out how are we going to do that. Start naming them. So we'll tell you to pause here and start writing and assigning the who, the what, the where, the when, and the why of that vision. Take a minute,
Mhm.
jot it down, and come back. So, Guy, what would you like to add to that about just being
Well,
specific?
Okay, just in case everyone's not quite getting it, when we do SMART goals, we're obviously creating an acronym here. So the S
Yes.
is for the specific.
Yes.
And absolutely, like you said, if it's weight loss, what about it? Or if it's a financial goal you want to, what about it? Why do you want that? Because the why is so important, right? Yeah, we got to know the how, the who, the what, the where, but I'm a big one on the why. Because when the how and the who and the what and the where seems a little bit blurry, I can focus on the why I'm doing it. Why
Yes.
am I getting up early in the morning to exercise? Why am I cutting this out of my diet? Why am I adding this self-development course? Whatever that case may be. And so be specific in that area. And
Yeah.
and for the cause of just this little practice, just pick one area right now.
Hmm.
You can always go back over and do this again in other areas, but pick an area. What area of your life are you focusing on? And what would that specific goal be?
I love it. And to continue with the acronym, we're going to look at the M, which makes it measurable. As for my purposes, I prefer to do things in 12 weeks. Every 12 weeks, I want to stop, reflect, and really make sure that I'm getting where I need to on this. Where do I need to make adjustments? Or, you know what? The other thing that we don't talk about very much is what if we start down a trail and then we just keep tucking it away, tucking away. Why? Because either our why has changed and it's no longer important. And we need to embrace the fact that sometimes things change. And it's okay to say, yeah, I don't need to move forward with this anymore. Let's crinkle it up and throw it in the garbage and let's tackle a new goal because it no longer serves us. And too often we don't
Mhm.
stop to measure it. And if we're not measuring, we don't know. We just don't know if we're not taking the time to measure whatever that specific goal is that we're working towards. So we want to make sure that we have the tools in place so that when we're measuring it, we know if we're moving the needle or if it's
Yeah,
maybe I made too easy of a goal. I've already accomplished it. It's time to move on to the next, right? It just gives you the chance. That measurement key is so important. Any thoughts
that's
on
good.
that before we move on to achievability in that? They're
Well,
kind
I know we've got a limited amount of time, but just think about what is the metrics you're using? What are you measuring? Is it weight or is it diet? Is it time? Is it investment? What is that? Because in other words, if you know what you're using to measure, you will be able to measure and know I am doing this. I am getting on the way. And I like what you said about 12 weeks. I don't have all the statistics right here, but there really is something about the number 12 that has to do with our ability to recall. And so 12 weeks is basically a fourth of a third of the year, right? So we can get those times where we can set that aside. You know what? How am I doing? Let me look at what I wrote down. How am I doing it along the way? And not wait until the 12 weeks. Hopefully, we're measuring along the way.
exactly. And I love that. And then, of course, we have to make sure that these are actually achievable, right? We want to measure it, but we need to make sure they're achievable. And I'm going to tie that into the R and the T right away. Achievable, realistic, and time based, right?
Okay.
So if we're not, we have to be realistic about the goal that we're setting. So we want to make sure that it's achievable. Is this something like we know that you and I are taking some similar courses, right? And it would have been unrealistic of us to think that we could run our ministries and achieve both a master's and bachelor's, right? And grow our businesses all in a year. We knew that we needed to separate those out and keep one another accountable. Gosh, we need a line for accountability. Who's keeping you accountable and helping you make sure these things are achievable? That's where Guy and I can pour into you and coach you through these processes. But we need to make sure that they are achievable. You can't pile a bunch of things on there just because you wrote it on a piece of paper, right?
Yeah.
Just because we put it there, it's not going to magically happen. So we want to make sure that we have the tools we need, the accountability, the actual time that we need. So we need to make sure we're being realistic. Like just because
Mhm.
you started with a salad today doesn't mean you're going to lose 25 pounds tomorrow, right? We know these things, but we sure wish, oh, I had that salad.
Mhm.
What's going on here? And so these things really matter. So it's so important that we're being realistic about these goals that
Mhm.
we are setting. And again, that 12-week margin has just always been my sweet spot. And you might need to look at it week to week. You might want to look at it month to month. You might have a program or project that you're working on that you need a 6 month, but you need to know that time space so that you could go back and be ready to
Mhm.
assess it.
Mhm.
And so, with that, you can have small, smart goals and big ones. Like at the end of the year, Guy and I intend to have our master's degree in a program that we're working on. We have a number of people we want to coach and serve. We have a dollar sign or a big project in our current ministries that we want to hit. And we have to reverse engineer that. And we have
Yes.
to make sure that we're setting all of these smart goals in place. However you choose to look at it, this is just a fun way to look at it. And until you really get the hang of it, right? Because guys like,
Mhm.
I got my calendar and I know what I'm doing. But if you're not practiced in this worksheet is really going to help you develop that skill set so that in every area of your life, you can be setting these goals that are
Mhm.
realistic and achievable and time based. And you're going to really make some huge progress in so many areas in your life, from personal growth to business and professional growth. Any other thoughts on that? I can't believe how fast the time
Yeah.
goes,
Our time
right?
is going. Let me throw in a biblical reference because the Bible
Yes.
says to write a vision and make it plain. And so the reason for that is so that you can continue to keep it before you. This is a good way because I'm always looking at my digital calendar. It's always before me.
Mm.
But if you like having something visual up on your refrigerator or on your bathroom mirror, print this thing out, write these things down, and you can see them. And about in reference to achievable, is it something someone else has done before? Can it be done? Hopefully, we're not trying to create the wheel. And realistic, be realistic. Now, I don't mean be so realistic that I know I can't do that. Be realistic that if I do this, I will be able to do that. And makes yourself accountable when you do that, right? And of course, time base, where what are the time segments for each step along the way? The goal might be a year-long goal. It could be a 5-year goal. But you need to break it down into chunks. What are those time chunks? And then you set a plan for each one of those time chunks. And within that plan, you've got some tasks. This is what I need to do to achieve that plan. Once I complete all these plans, I will reach the level of that portion of the goal and continue to move forward.
I love it. Such great stuff. And we know it works because we're using
Yeah.
these things in our ministries and in our individual coaching businesses. And we see great success because we are utilizing these tools to make it match what we need. This download that you will have access to gives you it's like a 4-pager where it gives you plenty of room to flesh out the things you're thinking about and really list out what those final goals look like. And I'm going to encourage you to set goals for personal growth, your physical health, your
Mhm.
relationship, whether you're single or married, right? What does a family goal look like? Try to apply these across the board to every area of your leadership responsibilities so that you can just get
Mhm.
a general idea. And of course, we're never going to achieve perfect. It really drives me crazy when people say harmony. There's not everything is going to be equal. Sometimes we're going to be out of balance while we're working on one thing over the other, but just know that when you're setting these goals and you're showing up for you, you're going to be able to achieve these things and build on them and springboard, like you're saying. Look at last year. What are we celebrating? What are we celebrating? And where can you continue to take that goal into the year ahead? One final little thing that I do want to say, I can't believe how quickly these conversations go by, and we don't want to keep you guys too long, but I do want to talk about that calendar right quick. Once you get these goals, let's set that time aside to make it happen. And so maybe
Mhm.
one week in the future we can go over time blocking. It's my favorite thing, but set that appointment aside for yourself to do all those things. Go
Mhm.
back and listen to the last couple of weeks when we were talking about taking the time to visualize. Are you planning that? We need to schedule every one of these things into that paper calendar or digital
Mhm.
calendar that's in front of us, because that is how we are going to take these SMART goals and turn them into a reality. And those are going to equip you to have a real impactful leadership opportunity in every area of your life. This was such a great conversation. We have great downloads for you. So be sure to get those. Be on the lookout. We have a community. We would love for you to get out there and join our Leadership Toolbox group. You can email us at weleadwithimpact@gmail.com to get additional information and resources and learn about, allow us to mentor you in a more intimate way to help you really map out those goals and take ownership of the things you're trying to do in your life. Either one of us would be happy to work with you. So with that, Guy, thank you so much for allowing us to take the time to talk about this. I want you to give us some more wisdom as we close out today's session.
Okay. We have to remember sometimes they can be a little bit overwhelming when we start looking at how can I get this done? But we have to always be rest assured if we don't do something different, if we don't add a different ingredient, we're going to get the same results. So sometimes it's not a lot of big things, it's just a couple of small things that can add to the mix that changes the outcome. So don't look at this as something overwhelming. Look at it as one step towards really achieving some of the greater things you'd like to see in your life and or business and ministry.
Love it. Such a great conversation today. And be on the lookout. We will have another fresh, hot off the press topic coming your way soon. Bye, guys.